It's pretty incredible, and I just thought about this. It's about to be the 30th anniversary of Batman and Robin. This is also known as the Schumacher years of Batman, which I have to admit are very cringy, and they certainly haven't aged well. I mean, they weren't very good back then, and even Schumacher himself admits that they were just kind of selling toys. If you look at the overall color palette of this film, it is awash in neon and highlighted colors. I mean, just things to overwhelm the senses of kids so that they can naturally gravitate to these toys. I mean, you can just look at it and it's like over-sensory for the eyes. Now, I guess you can say Batman Forever was a better film, although I had my criticisms of that as well. But when it came to Batman and Robin, I mean, it was just a shameless toy commercial, basically. Again, they knew what they were doing, and you can even tell in the performances that they were kind of half-assing it. Now, George Clooney didn't make a really good Batman or a Bruce Wayne. The problem was that George Clooney was coming fresh off of his meteoric rise from ER, and so they figured, hey, this guy is really handsome, he's got a jawline, let's put him in a Batman costume, and that's kind of how this happened. Unlike Michael Keaton and the '89 Batman, where a lot of people thought, hey, you're going to put Mr. Mom in a Batman costume, Michael Keaton really proved that he was freaking Batman, and he was playing three characters, and he was absolutely outstanding. Sadly, George Clooney was George Clooney, and basically, it was Dr. Ross from ER in a Batman costume. Now, say what you will about this movie, and trust me, it's freaking horrible, but I still like the design of this Batman, at least this version of it. So today we're going to be reviewing Hot Toys version of the Batman from Batman and Robin, the 1/6 scale figure. Let's take a closer look. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit that of all of the Batman costumes, this one is probably the least menacing. It actually looks like it was bought at the Halloween store. And, I mean, you can certainly tell. Now, to its credit, it is very film accurate because that does look like George Clooney in a Batman costume. So, if they were trying to recreate the film, it certainly looks like it. You know, it's not bad looking. I mean, aside from the fact that it's a horrible movie, it does look like George Clooney. So the head sculpt is very representative of what we see in the film. Again, I like that at least the inner eye, the inner makeup is very visible there. That's very George Clooney-esque, and he does have that really nice jawline, which George Clooney has. So, I mean, it has that going for it. Now, for some reason in the mid-90s, superhero movies were obsessed with showing their superheroes in latex all over the place, and this is no exception. I don't understand why they were so obsessed with the bat nipples and then showing the bat ass. It never made any sense to me. Nevertheless, I do like this suit. It is kind of boring and very monotone. It's all black. There's nothing to distinguish it, like the bat symbol is basically all black and really bleeds into the suit. This is a full rubber body suit, so you want to be careful with dynamic poses. Again, the bat utility belt is very freaking 90s and very Schumacher. I mean, the overall textures are done very well, and you can see the abdominals are very pronounced, so anthropomorphic. It looks really cool. The lower section, again, extends that kind of monotone, just full rubber body suit. I'm concerned about this one because since it is full rubber bodysuit, I'm worried about chipping or even cracking later on. Now, there are some really nice details, particularly in the boots. You see the bat symbols on the crest of the actual boots. They are sculpted pretty nicely, and surprisingly, the ball joint system there works pretty well. It's not entirely completely malleable, but you get enough flexibility there that if you wanted to do some dynamic poses, you can certainly do so. But again, a full rubber body suit, so you're going to want to be careful with this one. Now, the reverse side of this piece is pretty interesting, actually. I actually like what they did here. I love this cowl. It is one of my favorite ones on the reverse side, and you can see how jagged and pointed it is. Again, I always prick myself, so just be very careful because it is very sharp. But mostly, I like where the cowl meets the cape, and this cape is actually pretty awesome. It is very flexible and malleable, has some nice wire mesh, and it actually stays in position a lot, which is really cool. I also kind of like how it tapers off a little bit. There are subtle indentations to this actual cape, which looks really cool. Overall, the reverse side is really nice. You don't have to mirror it, but you do appreciate how they did it on the reverse side. Now, this one has the slab base, which is really cool. It does have the light up function, but for years I've been saying that they're not bright enough and it's just kind of gimmicky. Now, it is a perforated Batman and Robin symbol. It's really cool because it is highlighted by that red, and on the lip of the base, it just reads Batman, which is really weird because the official figure is the Batman, but it just reads Batman. Again, this is a very big footprint, so it's going to take up some shelf space, but nevertheless, I think it is really cool and a nice base. It's standard nut grabber, of course, but I think it's overall done very nicely in terms of how detailed it is. Now here's where I think this is a very big positive for this figure. It comes with a cacophony of accessories, which is actually pretty cool, and you actually see this in the film. Now you get the grapple slash batarang attachments, which are really cool. What I really like about them is that they are done in this high polished silver, which I know they're not exactly metal because they are plasticky, but nevertheless this does look like metal, and that extra detail is really cool. I like what they did here, and it's nice to show that you have some display options here. You also get 3 batarangs, which are really cool. Again, that one on the top, the larger one, I don't know if it's kind of like one of those autopilot ones, but it does have that nice focal port with the red, which looks really cool. And then of course you get the 2 smaller ones. The finishes here are really what sell this piece for me. They didn't cheap out or anything like that. The finishes are not really, basically getting justice on the camera. When you see them in person, they're much more impressive. Ironically, one of the things that I found so cringy in the movie is actually pretty charming as an accessory here. You do get the Bat credit card, which is really cool. I mean, it seems really stupid and small, but it's nice that he has it. Listen, we can all make fun of ourselves. I think George Clooney realizes that he can make fun of himself, and that self-deprecation, I mean, it just, you know, it's charming. What can I say? So it does say Batman, and it is a credit card. I mean, it's pretty generic, but it's cool. It's a small accessory. Don't lose it. It's pretty nice that we have it. You do get 2 actual faceplates here. You get one that is slightly grinning and then one more subdued. They do attach magnetically, which is cool. It's not a pain in the ass to take off and on. So if you wanted to have a little bit more personalization with the countenance in the face, you can certainly do so with these 2 pieces. One of the things that I forgot to mention, while this is not a deluxe version or anything like that, it does have the purr system, so you can move the eyeballs individually, and I think that's actually a plus, because George Clooney has some very unique eyes, and I think being able to move them independently is really cool. And then of course, rounding out the last bit of accessories are 7 additional hands for various poses. Again, I'm going to leave it more stoic, but you can do these poses. It is flexible, but it's a full rubber body suit, so just be very careful. You know, these things have a way of cracking. This is a very unusual figure. I like this figure, and actually while I was doing this review, it's grown on me a lot. It is very niche, and I can't even really say that people will get this for the nostalgic factor, because those movies were not that good and people just don't have a nostalgia for it, at least in my humble opinion. But nevertheless, I think this is a unique piece and I wanted it in my collection. There is a complementary piece to it. Obviously, it's the Robin figure, which I'm not really a fan of, mostly because I found him really obnoxious in the movies, and I don't know, probably my completest bug will make me get that figure and I'll review it. But nevertheless, if you are a fan of George Clooney, if you're like maybe 2 or 3 people who actually liked this movie, definitely pick this one up. It's a really nice addition to your collection. I like this figure. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Hot Toys version of the Batman from Batman and Robin, the 1/6 scale figure. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Route Desert Reviews.